Hello, friends and fellow readers. It's Miss Ragacious, and I'm going to be talking to you today about inflection and intonation. And so we are going to learn about these two big words. We're going to learn what they mean, and we're going to learn how to use them in our reading to make reading more interesting for our listeners, for us reading the book, and just to make reading a little more fun. So in this lesson, you're going to learn about volume, because volume has to do with how loudly or softly you read. You can use volume to make an author's words sound exciting, angry, nervous, or calm. Volume can also make your reading sound more like talking. So instead of it being boring, we can use inflection and intonation to make it sound more interesting. So let's look at inflection first. Inflection is the mood we read in. So I might read in an excited voice, so my voice might get higher. I might read a little bit faster than usual, and overall my voice pitch will go up. When I'm angry, I read at a lower tone. I might read with a little more oomph at the end of my words. And Miss Ragacious is super great at doing the angry voice, but maybe you are nervous. So when I'm nervous, my voice might shake. I might get a little lower because of something making me feel uneasy. And my sentences might shorten up a little bit in sounding. It all depends on why you're nervous. Happy. So when I read in a happy voice, I like to smile at the same time. So if you want to give that a try, if you smile and read at the same time, it comes off as a happy tone, and people can actually hear that in your voice. And calm. When Miss Ragacious reads in a calm voice, I like to slow my words down a little bit, bring my voice level down just a little bit, and drag out my sentences a little bit longer, and maybe take some deeper breaths between sentences. Okay, so that's inflection and some good examples for you. So next we have intonation. So that is the volume we are reading in. So we might read super loud, or we might read soft, or we might read in a whisper. Hopefully you can hear my whisper, but if not, you can always try whispering. So we are actually going to listen to Miss Ragacious read in Red Tail Angels. So if you have Red Tail Angels bookmarked in your benchmark app on your class link, you can go into that and follow along. I'm going to be on page 9, and I'm going to be reading paragraphs 1 through 3. And I'm going to use different voices, and I'm going to use different pitches, so you can listen and see the difference on when we use inflection and intonation and not using it. So remember, I'm on page 9, and I'm reading paragraphs 1 through 3. All right, here we go. As Charlie was checking over his plane machinery one day, he witnessed Major Conrad storming into the officer's tent. He knew he probably shouldn't eavesdrop, but he found himself edging closer and closer to the tent's opening. What is it going to take for you men to be ready for war, Colonel? The Major hollered dramatically, throwing his cap on the ground. Am I going to have to go up there with them and hold their hands? Colonel Lewis maintained his characteristic calm demeanor. With all due respect, Major, he said, emphasizing the man's rank, which was lower than his own, these men are some of the best pilots out there, and you know that as well as I do. How many men have you seen who can dive bomb like they can? Please tell me, because I'd like to see them for myself. All right, now let's listen to it again. As Charlie was checking over his plane's machinery one day, he witnessed Major Conrad storming into the officer's tent. He knew he probably shouldn't eavesdrop, but he found himself edging closer and closer to the tent's opening. What is it going to take for your men to be ready for war, Colonel? The Major hollered. father dramatically throwing his cap on the ground. Am I going to have to go up there with them and hold their hands? Colonel Lewis maintained his characteristic calm demeanor. With all due respect, Major, he said, emphasizing the man's rank, which was lower than his own. These men are some of the best pilots out there, and you know that as well as I do. How many men have you seen who can dive bomb like they can? Please tell me, because I'd like to see for myself. Okay, so as I was reading, hopefully you noticed a difference between the first way I was reading and the second way I was reading. So the first way I was reading, my volume didn't change. I read in a way that had no emotion, and I didn't emphasize anything in my story. Okay, so the second time I read, my volume changed, my speed changed at some areas. You could tell the mood from my voice, and the volume went up and down depending on if they were talking meanly to each other or sternly, or Charlie eavesdropping next to the tent. Okay? So how did the volume of my voice affect your understanding of how the character feels at this moment? So I want you to think about that, and I want you to jot down some ideas about when you're reading, what to look for, maybe exclamation points or periods or pauses, okay? So I want you to read the next paragraph on your own and do it out loud. And you might feel a little silly because you're at home, but that's okay. We're here to learn. And today, as your assignment, you're going to be reading the fourth paragraph on page 9. But I want you to change how you read it from the first time to the second time. So try to read it once with no emotions and at a steady volume, and then try it again with emotion and changing your volume as needed. Think about the text it is describing and what kind of volume would be appropriate in expressing the written words. Use your reading aloud to help you appreciate the author's language and word choices. Because remember, the author chooses things on purpose and tells you the character's emotions at that time so you can imagine what you're reading and enjoy it and understand it on a deeper level. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and Miss Regacious will talk to you next Friday.